All right, welcome to Buddy Book Club. I'm Dylan, here with my going gray man, Keith. What's up, buddy?
Sophisticated dusting, sir.
I used the same intro when we did the book, and I'm pretty sure you said the same thing.
Did I?
Yeah.
Everything's just repeating over and over. It's fine. No one's listening to this. I'm just talking, and I'm in a straitjacket in a room right now. This podcast isn't even happening. No one's recording it. That's what I'm thinking.
We were watching Jeopardy the other night, and they said something about Casper, Wyoming, and I was like, oh, that's where all of our listeners are.
It's a real place.
Oh, it's so good. And obviously, you know, the SGF, she's just so nice. I was like, oh, they're all bots or something. She's like, no, they're real people. Oh,
we've done 45 call for action and
got nothing.
Not one response.
Yeah. They don't have internet out there.
That CTA button is just not good. That's the problem. It's a bad CTA button.
Well, here at the BBC, we're breaking down some box office bangers, and this week we'll be discussing the Russo brothers' most anticipated film since You, Me, and Dupree, The Gray Man. We released our podcast, The Book, on December of 2021, so it's been a while. I think that's actually when this was released on Netflix. It was like kind of at the same time, which was our thought process. What did you remember? Because now it's February of 2023. What did you remember about the plot of this book?
I remember there was no backstory at all for the characters, and it was just like basically escape scene to next escape scene to next. And it was basically just like Superman running around.
As I turned it on, I was wondering, okay, what are some book to movie differences? And I was like, I have no idea. Like, I really don't remember. I remember there was a gray man. I remember he was a badass, and I remember he like fought some guy in an alley and got fucked up. Like, not drunk, like he stabbed him a bunch of times or something like that. And it was like the sole assassin guy. That was about it. So this will be interesting. But for the listeners out there, if you'd like to recommend a book or movie for us to read or watch, you can visit our website, buddybookclub.com, or slide into our DMs on Twitter or Instagram, Buddy Book Club Podcast. You can listen to us on iTunes and Spotify, so please download and subscribe. My summary from the book, I'll just read this quickly. The Gray Man is a story of an ex-CIA operative turned freelance assassin who finds himself at odds with a pencil-neck paper pusher who is the representative of a large shady company in the midst of a multi-billion-dollar oil deal. This cubicle monkey takes the Gray Man's handler hostage along with his family, including his two precious granddaughters. Well, one is precious. The Gray Man, now really out on a limb, must make it across Europe while being hunted by assassins from all over the world to save his handler and his family. I should write this stuff.
You wrote all that?
Yeah, I wrote that.
Put it on the blog, kid. Jesus Christ, you're writing this much and you're not kidding?
It's a paragraph. It's literally 4 sentences.
That takes me like 3 hours to write that. I'd be like, man, I'd be like trying to figure out where the commas go. That really upsets me.
Keith, what do you got for Stock Up?
Stock up, and stop me if you heard this one before. Child abuse. Stock up.
We have heard it before on the Greenlights podcast.
I think I'm the only one that's bought it. I've bought it a few times.
I think you've bought it a few times, yeah.
This talk keeps going up, kid. What do you want to tell you?
Just like the bruises on their faces.
Why is Ryan Gosling, a.k.a. Cortland Gentry, a badass? Well, I'll tell you what. He had a very strong pain threshold because his dad used to burn him with cigarettes. Mm-hmm. And he tells him to cover it up, like toughen up.
Don't show your mother.
He is able to survive his head being forced into the water and drowned because his dad used to do it to him.
It was almost like his Popeye spinach. He was dying at the end, and he remembered that, and it was like, ba-da-ba-da-ba-da.
Yeah. Exactly, kid. Exactly. He's resourceful.
So he's resourceful because he got abused?
Well, yeah. He found that gun and killed his dad with it. But anyways, moral of the story, like I said, you treat your kids well. Yeah, they'll go to Harvard. They'll be smart. They'll actually be fine. But then when they go to Harvard and after that, they'll go to the CIA, get morally corrupted, and become shitty pansies, like all the bad guys in this. Yeah. So beat your kids up, make sure they have a terrible childhood, and they'll be the best assassins in the world.
Interesting.
Also, have you seen The Accountant?
Ben Affleck movie? No.
Oh, we could add to the list.
Yeah.
Add to the list. But the backstory of the characters are very, very similar. His dad is like a general, and he's like, all right, I gotta fucking train you.
Anytime I watch a movie, it is real life to me. It's just a documentary. So
yeah, of course.
I'm thinking, would he really go to jail for that long? Like killing his dad, who was like super abusive. Like, you know, I'm sure that there was multiple people that knew that this kid was being abused. And you see it happen in the real world when women are abused by their husbands and they end up killing their husbands. Like, they might go to jail, but they're going to jail for like 5 years. There's laws in multiple states, probably not down south, but there's laws in multiple states, like victim self-defense kind of things, where It is murder, but at the same time, like, you were a victim of abuse for so many years. So I don't think he would really like need to take that deal.
Well, I think it really depends on how they paint it, right? Let's say his dad was a police officer or a firefighter, and then they're like, kid that was at school had troubles and, you know, failed out and was always a problem child, which he probably was because his dad was beating him up.
Yeah.
Turns on hero father and shoots him.
Yeah.
That's 25 years, you know? That's
Yeah. Just an interesting turn here that they pretty much like peeled him out of prison, because I don't think that was maybe it was in the book. Yeah, I don't know.
It could be in the future books because we didn't really get any backstory on him in any way.
Yeah,
in the book.
That's very true. My stock up is America. Heard of it?
Oh, let's go!
So I did read your blog on buddybookclub.com about the Gray Man movie. Did you just write it, or was it a Rotten Tomato variance?
Rotten Tomato variance, yeah.
Okay. And you were confused, as was I, about why Gray is spelt with an E or with an A.
Yes.
I had no idea, and I thought you posed a really interesting question because I had no idea. So, quick little Google search, and it turns out that the Gray Man with an E is the British way of doing it, British English, and with an A is the American way. And what is this book titled? Gray Man with an A. What's the movie? Gray Man with an A. America. Stock up. Fuck the Brits. Throw your tea off my boat.
Good to know. What's another word that's like there they add extra vowels or letters? Or beautiful? Is that one?
No, favorite.
Yeah, you're right. Favorite.
And I only know these ones because my sister and brother-in-law are Canadian. So whenever she texts like, oh, that's my favorite pasta shape, or that's my favorite ice cream flavor. And I'm like, I change it to correct it. So
do they have the accent of, who's that like Canadian psychiatrist that always pops up everywhere? What's his name?
You're not talking about like Dr. Sue, the sex therapist woman, right?
I think that's what it is.
You don't? She was on TV all the time. Oh my God, she's amazing. Buddy, go on YouTube and look up some Sue Johansson stuff.
I might have watched her like late night, and she's like, people call in. Is that woman?
Yeah.
And they'd be like, I'm having trouble when I'm beating my husband with a whip. He's liking it a lot. Like,
yeah, and she like deadpan is like, oh, okay, you have to take nails off the edge of the cat o' nine tails, or else like you'll actually create serious injuries.
She's very scientific. I respect that.
Yeah, I think she went on Letterman once or one of the talk shows, and was trying to do like a serious bit, and they're obviously trying to turn it into comedy. She was not having it. It's worth checking out.
Her show should be called "Don't Yuck Someone's Yum." That's a common phrase here in the Buddy Book Club.
Or "Don't cuck someone's cum." What?
I'll see my way out. Good chatting with you. I'm out. See you later.
All right. What else did you ever stock up?
Stock up ear protection. I don't know what I'm doing. But this is the first time I've ever noticed in a movie that they're actually really protective of their ears. You know how like loud guns and explosions and things like that will hurt your eardrum?
Yeah, I sure do.
Well, Cortland's in the little pit thing, and he's making that pipe bomb in order to blow, like to get out of the water. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He's in the little trap door. And like he rips off some cotton and puts it in his ears, which not one action hero has ever done that. I've never seen that before. And then he fights his way through, gets to that castle, finds Fitzroy's daughter. Mm-hmm. What's the first thing he says to her? No, I'm so glad you're safe. No, we need to get out of here. It's, hey, put these in your ears. And he hands her earpieces. Yeah. That's literally the first thing he says to her. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, wait, what? Like earplugs, rather, I should say, not earpieces. But what a thoughtful guy, first of all, about eardrums. And do these directors, are they like you know how Quentin Tarantino loves like feet? Are they like really big into ears, do you think?
I didn't know that Quentin Tarantino loved feet, but now it checks out.
You didn't know that? No. That's like very well done. Kid, I thought you were a film connoisseur. Jesus Christ. But then at one point, what's his name? Chris Evans' character goes and twists Billy Bob Thornton's ear for no reason. It didn't make any sense. And he's like, I just made that up. But it was like a sexual twist a little bit. I think they're really into ears. I'll put it out there. The Russo brothers, into ears.
Interesting.
Stock up.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. And I'm really hoping it was like the guy on set who's the military specialist or whatever that says something like that. I always love those little takes. At least the guy who is that person in Band of Brothers, he actually plays one of the characters as well. But the behind the scenes stuff is awesome when you just see like him working with actors being like, no, this is not how you would hold this weapon, or like, here's what you would do if you were actually getting shelled. Those kind of things. I love that stuff because it's, it makes it real.
Were they on set for that Alec Baldwin movie? Where they were like, no, you got to put real bullets in here. too much.
Too soon.
Too soon.
Yeah, he's like, no. In war, in the West, like, they shot real bullets. Like, put real bullets in
why are you using a blank? Yeah, what are you doing?
But in The Last of Us, when he's talking to...
Spoilers.
Yeah, well,
is this spoilers? I'm on episode 1.
It's not a spoiler.
Okay.
He's talking to the girl, and she's like, oh, I noticed you can't hear really well. Is that from getting shot? And he pretty much says, or from shooting. Like, just shooting, you eventually will lose your hearing, because it's not like we have headphones on or anything. And additionally, I was watching Yellowstone, the first season, and he's about to blow something up, and he tells his son to open his mouth, so that the concussion of the explosion doesn't boil his brain. I think that's what it does. I don't know.
Are you really into ears too, D-Man? Is this a new thing we're finding out?
Huge ear guy. Huge. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
My second stock up is butterfly knives. So Lloyd is quite the butterfly knifeologist, which is an interesting skill to have. And I feel like it's somewhat gone away. I don't know, since the 90s. I remember in the 90s, all the bad guys in movies had butterfly knives. It was all this big show of whipping it around and just kind of like a show of force. And now, I mean, butterfly knives, switchblades, like they've gotten, maybe it's the Crocodile Dundee effect or something, but they've just gotten overtaken by big old hunting knives. And I enjoy a good butterfly knife scene in a movie. So I was appreciative of that. And I appreciate the 90s. So
yeah, that's a great comment.
Oh, stop it. What else did you have for stock up?
Last one, stock up. Ana de Armas. Nothing to add. That's it. Just buying stock continually. That's it. That's all I got.
They were like, so we have this veterinary assistant character in the book who has an actual role in that she's patching the gray man up throughout this whole journey because he's going to get shot up and stabbed and all these different things. Like, yeah, that's an interesting idea. What if we just instead have Ana de Armas? There's no background on who her character is or what ties she has to this gray man or why she's even interested besides the fact that he's beautiful. And she'll follow him around the whole time, not really do much until the end when she just throws grenades and shoots rockets all over the place.
The best part about the end was when she's like, all right, here's the game plan. You're going to run down the middle while 30 people shoot at you, shoot rockets, blow up, dodge bullets. I'm going to sneak in the back and get them. Yeah. So, all right, break.
Also,
like, wait, what?
Yeah, she's like 120 pounds and she's carrying her body weight in equipment. I'm not trying to sell her short for her abilities. Short pun actually not intended there. But it seemed like a lot. It seemed like a lot to me.
Also, though, I do like this movie because they showcased her. I saw the new Bond where I think she's like in like 2 minutes of the
I haven't seen
2 minute and 30-second trailer. Well, I'm going to spoil this for you because she's in it literally for, I want to say maybe 5 minutes max. 3 minutes is a low, 5 minutes is a high. Mm-hmm. Doesn't come back after that. I was like, what?
Yeah.
So this movie, though, stuck up.
That's kind of like her in Blade Runner 2049. It's like Ana de Armas in Blade Runner 2049 as a billboard.
She's in it. She changes costumes enough, though. She's in different outfits the whole time.
I didn't have any other stock ups. What do you have for stock down?
Stock down. Bathroom etiquette,
please.
I mean, we've gone at great lengths on the Buddy Book Club to talk about the proper etiquette, to talk about what you're supposed to do and don'ts. But it comes up again. Suzanne, the semi-bad guy, short hair, CIA person.
Who?
She's like the Asian woman with like the short hair.
Okay, got you. She breaks in or busts into the CIA bathroom, which, mind you, has like 15 stalls in a row, which I can't even imagine. That'd be terrible. There's no lights on in there. I don't know if the sensors are off and like he's just been sitting in there for a while. But it's a stressful job at the CIA. A man needs to go in there and go to the furthest stall and just like be with his thoughts and, take a solid Roger Goodell. But no, she has to break in there, couldn't wait 5 minutes to let the man take an RG in peace and start yelling at him. Yeah, I forget the scene, truthfully.
Well, I couldn't forget it and I won't forget it. Stock down bathroom etiquette.
The actual stock down should be the furthest stall in the bathroom, because studies have shown that the cleanest,
the most used.
The cleanest stall is actually the first one.
Yeah, but nobody wants to use that
I
one.
always go in the first stall now.
I don't care about cleanliness. I care about not being in the action. Privacy over cleanliness.
The only concern with being in the first stall is if there's a urinal right next to it, that you might have some collateral damage hit your feet.
Exactly.
Sprinkle on your unlaced shoelaces.
Also, that everyone in the first urinal knows who's in the first stall. You know what I mean? Like shoe-wise.
I agree with you. We've gone over this, I feel like, for half of the BBC that we've had this going. But
yeah, read my blog on the work from home benefits, and it's all about being able to shit at home. That is my best blog. I don't know. That's the best one I've ever written.
Yeah, I just, we've discussed the CEO when he came in and changed my whole life by, just exploding the bathroom. And I, since then, have just embraced it,
I can't.
I pull out my copy of Everybody Poops, and I read
what?
it. Oh. I read it on the toilet seat.
That's a hard C. I pull out my copy.
No, there was this guy I used to work with, and I don't know if I've told this one before, but he used to, and this is, I'm not talking 1986 here. This is a couple of years ago when phones are invented and newspapers are on phones. He used to fold up a newspaper and throw it under his arm and do a lap around the office to talk to people before heading to the bathroom. Make sure everyone knew that he was about to absolutely destroy the men's room.
Well, maybe Carmichael should have done that. Although that's why she wouldn't have busted in, or maybe he did do that, and that's why she knew he was in the bathroom.
Yeah, the Carmichael character in general, just out.
He was just a good-looking man. That's all he was.
Exactly. Right? It's like, he's good-looking and mean.
That checks out to me. I don't know what else you want.
My stock down are Thursdays. They seem to suck. That's it.
Go.
That was it. That was all I had.
Just a typical Thursday.
Yeah, just a typical.
I gotcha. Good call out. I thought that was funny. I thought it was cute.
Yeah. Well, do you have other stock downs? Because that was literally my only one.
I have one more last one. I think you'll appreciate this one. Stock down, Scott, Dr. Evil's son.
Seth
and
Green.
Stock up, Mufasa, a.k.a. Will Ferrell.
Tie this together, please.
Well, first of all, this is every action movie, but there's probably a million chances to kill him, but they're just like, let's do a million things that that are more complicated than just like getting a sniper and shooting him when he gets to a place so we know he's going to. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But the Fitzroy thing being like, I'll never tell you anything. Whatever you do, I'm not going to leave my boy out stranded. And they're like, well, we got your niece now. And he's like, all right, I'll have him killed right this instant. And then, so that they've proven that. He'll do anything for his niece, right? Then they torture him by ripping his ears.
They just kind of clapped his ears. They didn't rip him out, right?
I don't know what they were doing. They're giving like the wrestling move where they fuck up your ear.
Yeah, exactly. It was like an Indian sunburn for your ears.
Yeah. That would hurt. I think that hurt.
No, I'm sure it would. It's definitely a starter. It's like a torture starter pack.
But then they go to rip out all of his fingernails, and then he's like, you know what? I'm going to go get your niece again. And then immediately he tells them what he needs to know again. So it's like the Mufasa where he's like, I can't have you ask me 3 times. That's pretty much what it is every time.
Yeah.
So stock up for Mufasa from a.k.a. Will Ferrell from Austin Powers.
We all know that you bring the niece in or whatever and it's over. But I think it just ties that Lloyd is a total psychopath and just wants to torture someone.
Oh, okay.
So he was going to torture him anyways.
Irregardless.
Irregardless. Oh, which, by the way, I continue to say, thanks to you, the SGF looked it up on the internet and it says it's totally fine. It basically says that because we have said irregardless so many times that now it's become the vernacular, so you're allowed to say it pretty much is the gist I got. So we've changed the English language for the better, I might add. For the better. I think we're pretty close to making maint a thing.
We're bringing it back.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that saying, what is it? That people always mess up. I couldn't care less. I could not care less. Yeah, and it's supposed to be I could not care less, but people say I could care less.
Yes.
Right? But everyone knows what it means.
Exactly.
All right, that's what I was trying to get.
How do you feel about intensive purposes?
Fun fact, I didn't know that until I read it in a Mitch Rapp book. And I looked it up and I said, why did they spell this wrong? And then I saw, oh my God, that's actually, like, people get this wrong all the time. That's why reading's important, boys and girls out there. Or listen to it on the audiobook.
We follow some economist woman who does, like, baby stuff or whatever, and she was talking about reading to your children. And studies have shown that there's a very, very big link between reading to your children and them turning out somewhat intelligent. I will say that all studies have a bell curve because my parents read to me and I'm a dullard. So...
But did your parents beat you? That's
right. Yeah, they didn't.
You would be assassin.
Shoot.
I've heard that too. But were they reading to you in baby talk though? That's my question. Or are they doing an adult talks?
I think I read to myself. They were just like, here, take this book.
Who are the subjects that are on the other side of that? They're like, here's what we're going to do. You guys treat your child like shit. Don't read to them. Don't interact with them. And we'll see if your kids become smarter or not as smart as these other kids. Who's the control? We're
looking for parents that put their kids to bed without brushing their teeth, give them a 20-ounce Mountain Dew, and don't read to them. Well, my first love, because we talked about how the jokes and whatnot, I did enjoy the like levity joke stuff that was going on in it. It seemed like the movie was somewhat self-aware. I mean, the Russo brothers are known for the 4 Marvel movies they did. So, you know, a lot of that joke stuff is part of those Marvel movies where they're like action movies, but there's like some jokes in there. And I think just Ryan Gosling, his delivery is so perfect that he was able to pull off all of those jokes, which like took us out of those action sequences just momentarily, cemented his character more, made him more likable and not just this like cement person that kills people, and then took us right back into the action. So I did love that aspect of the movie. I think that a lot of people didn't though, which is weird because I feel like all fun action movies have that. It's not like this movie is trying to be, I don't know, something really serious. It wasn't like Serpico or something.
Well, I mean, in the book, he didn't have a personality. The only thing that he said in the book I remember was like, he's like, you're going to have to be hard to survive. And he's like, what about you? He's like, I'm already hard, I think. Or something like that. Maybe I missed, maybe that was a different video I was watching. But anyways, yeah, it's tough to make someone that's supposed to not have much emotions or personality be a good like character, and I thought he was good in it. One of my loves is just everyone was casted really well. I thought everyone was attractive and
definitely attractive. Like everyone was attractive. Even Billy Bob Thornton had hair. Amazing.
Yeah, Billy Bob Thornton was playing the guy from Armageddon again, which I really liked.
He was. He was.
I just really like Billy Bob Thornton. I won't lie to you. There's no role where I don't like him.
Have you seen Sling Blade?
No, I haven't. Yeah. Is that where he plays like a weirdo?
I think he's just mentally like underdeveloped or whatever, not a weirdo.
We'll cut that.
It's okay. You didn't know. It's not a big deal. You just didn't know. I haven't seen it in a very, 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 very long time, but he won. I'm pretty sure he won Best Actor for it. So I'm going to go back and watch that. It's like a serious drama though. So, you know, when you're sitting around at night with the SGF, the wife, the girlfriend, whatever you got in your life, and you're banding about different movies, rarely am I like, you know what? Daniel Day is great in My Left Foot. Like, let's watch that. But it's unfortunate because then I just end up never watching those, and I watch the comedies and the actions and the horror movies, and then I have just never seen any dramas. So
I feel like you gotta save those for like the weekend. You gotta do light the week, you know?
Yeah, it's like I'm already miserable enough. I don't need a serious
You have like a nice dinner, you get like a glass of wine going. I would never do either of those things, but you know, I mean ramen noodles and drinking a Busch Light. But yeah, and theoretically.
What did you love?
I thought all the action was great. I mean, all the scenes were like fun to watch. The square scene was like pretty insane. Yeah. I understand this movie was $200 million. I understand why after seeing that.
Yeah, that reminded me of the Den of Thieves traffic fight.
Oh, I was going to say Heat. Like kind of the Heat where they just pull out machine guns and start shooting.
Well, it's pretty much the same as Den of Thieves, so yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, everyone's just trying to steal Heat. Heat is like the best of all time with that.
Heat's
obviously.
So fucking good.
You already mentioned Ana de Armas' freedom running up the middle. I love that. It's just freedom.
Gosling as an action hero was pretty good, right? Because has he done that before?
I mean, Blade Runner, he's kind of that same character, right?
Kind of. It's a little more detective noir-ish, you know, than like a straight up mercenary action hero.
I mean, he's come a long way. First time I remember seeing him on film was
Mickey Mouse Club. Wasn't he in that? No.
Remember the Titans? And he was like the
Sunshine.
Like the soft player. No, he wasn't
Right,
Sunshine.
right. Yeah, he's the safety.
Yeah, he wasn't fast enough to cover a guy, and he's like, I can't do it, coach. I'm like, you'll never be a gray man.
Yeah. Oh, I guess Place Beyond the Pines. He was kind of like a badass. And Drive.
Yeah, he's kind of played this role. I mean, the role is just a fun role to watch. That's really what it is.
Do you love anything else? I think you said you had one more, but
most of those movies would end with like, and then they turned everyone in, and the government got cleaned up, and then instead it's just like, all right, cool, these people all still suck. I'm just gonna go along.
Well, they're
with
also
now.
setting it up for a sequel.
Yeah, well, of
Naturally,
course, you got
naturally. So we'll get into hates. I'm just gonna say it. I didn't like the Ana de Armas character. I just didn't like it. I'm you know.
Get out.
It's not that I didn't like Ana de Armas. I just thought the character was a little silly.
I don't know what the difference between those two things are.
Why not just put her as the vet assistant? The book made sense with that. He's all beat up and he finds this vet assistant who like helps him.
Well, then it would have just been Born Identity, right? That'd be the exact same
Yeah,
role.
I guess that's fair. That's exactly what happens in Born Identity.
It's exactly the same.
And he pays her to drive from across the country. Or,
Yeah. I'm going to need you to sew me up, and it's going to get a little sexual all of a sudden.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I just didn't know what her motivations were. Besides, like, this job went bad. Like, why did this job go bad? I'm going to put my life on the line for this guy.
She's Ana de Armas, kid. You don't need to ask questions. Just let it happen. All
Also,
right?
sometimes she had more of an accent than other times when she had less of an accent.
They didn't need to make her American. She could be whatever. We have no backstory in her in any
she could
way.
have been part of like the Spanish Special Forces or something like that. I'm kind of convinced her name's like Hillary Smith and she's from Wyoming. And went into his studio one day to like read lines, and she played the accent. And they're like, "Perfect. My name is Ana de Armas." He was like, "Oh, perfect." What did you hate?
The special effects were a little bit James Bond Die Another Day-esque at some points. Do you remember that movie?
I do remember James Bond Die Another Day. I can't remember like the special effects necessarily.
I think they like at one point there's a laser beam shooting down, and he's like water skiing or something. I forget something. It's like some of the most horrific special effects I've ever seen. For a $200 million movie, there's a train scene, there's a parachute scene that both were like, all right, it looked a little dumb. But the action scenes were good. Those took away from it a little bit, but what are you going to do?
What else did you hate?
I mean, there was no realism. I mean, it's an action movie, but there's zero. I also liked the plot to breathe a little bit more. So there's more between the actions. This was just like action, 3-second break, action, 3-second break, action, you know? So,
yeah,
but
guys. Don't just go to Hammertown out there, you know? Slow it down a little bit. I need a little context, you know? I want to be loved. I want to be snuggled. I want to be kissed, okay?
Still talking about carpentry, right?
Oh, yes. Sorry, of course. Yeah.
Okay, good.
But, yeah, I don't know. I think it's probably because the world that we live in is just so fast-paced. People will pick up their phones in a second. They don't let anything breathe anymore. It has to just be right in your face all the time for these action stuff. And sometimes it works. Like John Wick, it works. This, I needed some space. I needed some space in between. And the little jokes helped, but I just give me some character development or something. Like John Wick's very clear. They killed his dog. Yeah, I'm going crazy.
To be fair, I'd rather have this than what most of the Marvel movies do, where it's just this generic, exact same backstory, and this person's going to overcome this. It's so cookie cutter that I would rather have, don't give me anything and have a lot of action than give me that bullshit.
Yeah,
so.
I agree with you on that. We don't need the same, story arcs all over the place, all over again, rehashed. Let's get into some studio notes. The film adaptation of Mark Greaney's novel was originally announced in 2011. It was going to star Brad Pitt and be directed by James Gray. He's the guy who wrote and directed Ad Astra. Brad Pitt would have been interesting, but I think this is much better. Later, it was actually supposed to star Charlize Theron as the Gray Woman, which would have been interesting. But the Russo brothers actually were supposed to do that one with Charlize Theron, but they got their hands on it. Like you said, $200 million budget, one of the most ever spent on a movie by Netflix. It had 43 million viewers in the first 3 days, so pretty good. It was like the number one Netflix in like 80 countries or something. And honestly, I didn't even know there were 80 countries, so good for them. Like you said with the Rotten Tomato variance, 46 critics, 90 audience. I don't know about that second one, but 46 critics. Interesting. Critics didn't like the quote-unquote cliched script and breakneck pacing. I think that's fair. I don't think that necessarily I agree with it because that's kind of the point. But I get it. You know what I mean? It's fair enough. And there's going to be a sequel. So what's the difference between the book and the movie? I mean, there's lots of differences in this movie. That's for sure. We've discussed some of them. The most glaring, Ana de Armas role, which we said is the vet. Chris Evans' role, where he's in the book, he's really a behind-the-desk guy who's doing stuff from afar. And in this book, he's more hands-on and wants to torture everyone.
Which I think was good. I think it was a better addition. You can't make a behind-the-desk guy that's going to be like a bad villain.
Yeah, I kind of think you could. I mean, I liked it in the book. I don't know if you can do it necessarily in the movie.
Yeah.
But him kind of directing things from a command post, but calling, because he used to always call the Gray Man. Like, he'd get him a hold of him, and he'd talk to him, or one way or another. So him being there and, like, talking all this shit from behind his computer, I think would be better for the audience once they actually met up and he was like scared of the Gray Man, as opposed to this Harvard guy who for some reason is a monster with a switchblade or a butterfly knife and can actually like fuck Cortland up. Cortland Gentry's like the biggest badass on the planet, and all of a sudden this Harvard grad with a terrible mustache and actually a great style. I did like how they did his attire. I enjoyed that thoroughly. But he's all of a sudden like kicking his ass.
I was like, Chris Evans, anytime he plays a bad guy, he's awesome.
He's so good. I mean, Knives Out, he was so good.
I mean, how many people can you think that can play Captain America that can also turn around and be a very, very convincing bad guy? You're like, not many, right?
Yeah. He just puts on like the douchiest face. You know, when he does it, he just puts on this like, oh my God, the guy that you hate. And the other big difference was the why. You know, in the book, Lloyd works for a gigantic French corporation trying to shepherd this multi-billion-dollar Nigerian oil deal. The Nigerian president wants Gentry dead because he murdered his brother. So that's why they're after him. And in the movie, the CIA is trying to clear out operatives for the previous generation because they had drive detailing corruption of the CIA officials. In both movie and book, though, they go through extreme lengths and kill lots of other people and don't do anything covertly to try to get him, which we talked about in the book. That didn't make any sense. But yeah, you got to do it. You got to do it. Did you have any other differences between book and movie?
I liked the what they do with Fitzroy's character, obviously Billy Bob Thornton. In the book, he was like that British dude.
Yeah, we liked Michael Caine for him.
They quickly turned him into like a bad guy. He was like 75% bad, 25% good. So like it didn't make any sense why he was going to save his niece or daughter or granddaughter in that book. Where I was like, what? This guy's just like betrayed you like 3 or 4 times, and now you're like, all right, he's a good guy though. He had to do what he had to do. It's like he betrayed him once in this, which is true to the book, but like even that was kind of weird. Yeah, I like they changed that at least.
Yeah, I wish they would have just changed the whole thing and just made him like get overpowered by Lloyd or something. Besides just saying like, tell those guys to murder him. But I guess if your niece is there, yeah, it makes sense. I'm not too upset about it.
Yeah, I also like that they took out that terrible log cabin scene. That was like my one big pet
Oh,
peeve.
really?
Remember, I hated that because it was like, all right, we know he's going to go to the log cabin. We know he's in there. It's like a 6x6 square. There's nothing where he can escape. And they're like, all right, let's fully attack it. Let's all run in there on it.
Yeah, but then he's on a snowmobile with shotguns. I remember that. That was cool from the book. Anytime there's a snowmobile and shotguns getting shot. Oh, I guess the one thing that I didn't like was they changed when he sneaks out of like his old boss's house and she blows everyone up.
Oh, yeah. They kept that the same.
No, it was, well, kind of. It was a different man, woman, doesn't matter. But the better part in the book was that the guy loads him up with equipment. He's like, all right, take this. It's kind of like the Q role in James Bond.
Well, they hinted at it. She said like, oh, here's the keys to the car. It's fully loaded with all the weapons you need in the back.
Yeah, but then he immediately gets T-boned and handcuffed to a bench. So
no, what's her name gets it. Ana de Armas comes in handy and gets it.
Right.
That's why she's driving that red fucking couped up
Yeah, that's
thing.
why they have all that stuff at the end. But I always just like those montage scenes in action movies where they roll everything. I mean, my ultimate favorite is like Desperado, when they open up the guitar cases and it's all the different guns.
I mean, I would say Matrix is better than Desperado, sir.
Well, that's fair, but
the columns come out and it's just like, and the music's playing. You're like, oh shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not bad either. I wanted that. That's all I do in an action movie. I want to see all the stuff out. I want to see all the stuff they're going to use, and then later when they throw it, it's like, ooh, that was a frag grenade. That's cool.
Yeah.
recast, rewrite, review. I don't think we're going to recast it. We really like the cast that they picked. Good job by them. Rewrite, we already kind of touched on that stuff. Reviews, the only review that I could find that was of somewhat interest was Billy Bibbiani. He goes by William Bibbiani, but buddy, figure it out. Your last name is Bibbiani. You got to go Billy Bibbiani.
Yeah. Billy B.
That's the guy that plays Keno and smokes cigarettes at the local corner store.
Billy B. Up to his old tricks.
Yeah, eating a giant Italian sub, like white undershirt.
You know this guy?
Tucked into his sweatpants. There's oil stains on the
right,
shirt. Like, I love this guy. So he said, it has all the artistic value of watching a blank screen, except a screen has a purpose. Buddy, relax. Are you kidding me? Artistic value? You're talking about The Gray Man. What? I just don't even understand it. It makes no sense to me. This guy's going to get on his high horse about The Gray Man. You sat down for 2 hours and watched it. What did you think you were getting into?
A lot of these people think they're like walking into The English Patient on every movie. They're like, what the hell? There's guns in this movie? What's going on? No, this is a pure action movie. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I like it. It confuses me because you know exactly what the situation is. These guys, the Russo brothers, made 4 Marvel movies. They made Yumi and Dupree. They used to write for Arrested Development and Community. It's going to be an action movie with some like cheeky comedy stuff. And it's a big budget, so it's going to be like a money grab. And people are like, oh, it's a money grab. It's like, there's no problem with a money grab. I don't understand why people care that much about it. So, Billy, figure it out.
Clean it up.
Get 6 numbers one time on the Keno board.
I had one that I wrote in the blog, but I wanted to see your take on it. Johnny Oletsky, I don't know, I fucked that up. New York Post, 1.5 out of 4 stars he gave it. My Barista could even been cast as the lead of this action thriller, and the film would have been absolutely no different.
What?
First off, I mean, we already talked about the cast. I think it was perfect.
Yeah, no, it was great.
You put a lot of other people in this movie, and it's terrible. Like, the cast, you needed these people there. Secondly, my whole thing that I wrote about, My Barista? Who the fuck is this guy? My Barista? First of all, who calls him barista? Like, that's step one. Yeah,
they call themselves baristas, and it's on their resume.
Yeah, you're saying it's personal? Like, unless he literally has someone that's at his house, it must be nice, that's making him coffee, that it's literally a barista that's like, he shipped in from Italy. He's Billy B. What's your guy's name there?
Billy Bibbiani.
Yeah, Billy Bibbiani's cousin in Italy that shipped in. Then you can't fucking say My Barista, you fucking asshole. This is not a Dunkin's drinker, and you shouldn't be allowed to watch this movie, Johnny. Yeah. Clean it up. That's all I can say. This is
the guy that like is an actual, thinks he has ownership over the woman who makes his coffee at Starbucks every morning. Like, he thinks that she works for him.
Yeah.
No, she works for a company, and she's serving you because that's her job. You're not important to her. Would you recommend the book?
The movie?
The movie, excuse me. Yes, this is a movie.
I think it's exactly what you paid for. I gave it 2.5 stars out of 4, or 2.5 buddies out of 4 buddies.
Oh, okay.
I honestly saw no difference between this or most James Bonds I've seen, most of the Mission Impossibles I've seen. Like, I get that people really love those movies. Every time I go to those movies, I give it the same rating as this. It's like, oh yeah, they're fun, but I'm never like, what a fucking mind twist. It's always just like tons of fun action. It's a popcorn movie. You escape. There's tons of shooting that misses. You know, it's just what it is. So 2.5, I think it's not very high ceiling for this type of movie. It's not very low floor, but it is what it is. What do you think?
I gave it a 2. I thought it was a 2 on my scale of 4. Two buddies, as you like to say. But I've watched 2 Mission Impossible movies this year, the original and Mission Impossible 2. And
I just watched those 2 as well.
Yeah, okay. Mission Impossible was a 2.5, and I remember it being much better. It was not very good.
Yeah,
and
me too.
It was unfortunate. And I think the 2.5 is really a pump up just because it like created a series. Mm-hmm. But it was not very good. Mission Impossible 2, terrible movie. That was a 1.5.
That used to be my favorite when I was young. And now I watched it again. I was like, yikes.
So did I. It was one of the first movies I burned on like Kazaa, and I used to watch it all the time. So yeah, this is a 2, a solid 2. 2 for me is, yeah, it was fine. I'm not upset that I watched it. I'm never going to rewatch it. I think if someone asked me, probably wouldn't say anything about it. But if you have nothing to watch and it's on like that you want to watch really, and you have like a hungover Sunday because no football's on anymore, yeah, put on The Gray Man. Like enjoy some action sequences, and
Well,
here's my
question, I guess. The reason I gave it a 2.5 is because if I gave it a 2, I wouldn't watch the sequel. Whereas 2.5, I think when the sequel comes out, which you said that it's coming out for this, I'll definitely watch it. I'm not going to be like, I can't watch it. I'll be like, yeah, why not? And it'll be the exact same mindset going in as I had for this one, so it'll be no different.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think I could still watch a sequel at 2 because maybe the sequel's a 2.5, or maybe it's a 1.5. Like, but either way, I'm not going to be upset about it because it is. I know what I'm expecting.
The artistic integrity you're going to be upset about, but I mean, it's a blank screen essentially. So
when I drive down to the Dunkies down my street, I don't say my barista gave me some, a large
coffee, 3 creams, 3 sugars.
No, you say light and sweet, hun. Light and sweet. All right, good times. So I think we're going to continue doing some movies interspersed here. We have Jurassic Park book coming up, and then we're going to do a movie that there is no book for. I think we're going to do The Menu, which came out recently, starring Ralph Fiennes and Anna de Armas. Anna Joy, right? Isn't that her name? Anna Taylor-Joy. Okay, cool. Well, I guess until next time.
Bye now.
All right, bye now.